All right, welcome back, everyone. I think this will be my Thursday regular now with Justin Cambra, W2 to Freedom. But I also got Kevin, self storage on, firefighter out in the Bay Area. So, morning, fellas.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good to have you guys back. New Year, Kevin. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah,
But let's maybe Kevin. Why don't you update everyone if they haven't or don't know who you are, where you invest, and what you invest in?
yeah. Name's Kevin. I started in single family homes and kind of small multi units back in 2009, 2010, and we made the switch from the single family and multifamily space into self storage a few years ago. So now we're primarily self storage investors. We've got 12 facilities in 3 states, and we're looking to acquire more.
Very cool. And then Justin, where can they Wednesdays, right? Is going to be your also hopefully weekly with Cody Davis, right?
Exactly. We did our first one yesterday.
All right, so everyone check that out. I'll get Justin's channel in there too. I believe he's streaming also right now, so you can go subscribe there. But yeah, let's kind of catch up with maybe what we're looking at for 2026. I don't think I've been on with you, Justin. Oh, maybe I did, but let's talk about 2026. What we see out there, and are we pivoting or doubling down on what we're doing? So, Justin, maybe you can go first.
I'm not pivoting. I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for the last couple of years. So when I started the investment journey, like 90% was all out of state. The last couple of years, I've been shrinking things down under the motto of less is more. So like in the Midwest, like 500,000 could be like four houses, right? So instead of doing four single families out there, I'm doing one single family in the 1 hour Seattle area. We're trying to get a single family and then be able to build in the backyard. So still trying to. That's my focus for this year. The other thing that I'm focusing on as well is how do I take my investment portfolio and then optimize for tax. So with 2026 being the bonus depreciation being back at 100%, I'm looking to buy another property where bonus depreciate, take that depreciation, write that all the agent income that I have coming in, such that I can basically wipe out my taxes for 2026. And the other thing I'm focused on, this is more my active side, this is the real estate agent business, is I'm trying to get my fiance the option to retire. She wants to work about 5 more years. It makes the most sense for you know, pension and Social Security. But I want to have the option if she just says, "Hey, I want out." I want to give her that option. So I'm trying to actively build the real estate agent team as well in the Seattle area.
And I don't know if you have something coming up big Monday. Do you want to touch on that yet, or no, not yet? Is that still under wraps or?
Still under wraps.
Okay, all right.
Talk
So
about
we'll
it
let okay. we'll let Kevin go then. I know he got big news. Maybe that's why he's still working, but he can talk about 2026. And like I said, he's in self storage now. But how is that looking? And is he still gonna double down on that?
Yeah, I'm excited for 2026. I think my goals always start personal, right? So first and foremost, is to be the best husband I can be and be the best father I can be. We've got baby number 3 coming any day now, so we're excited for that. Be a little bit of chaos, and then on the business front with self storage, I think we're in a great time for acquisitions. I think we've kind of got I think it's probably a small window of when I think we can really go out and get great deals. Rates are still high. There's a lot of capital on the sideline. Um, People's expectations from these offers and valuations they received in 2021, 2022, they're finally coming down to earth and realizing that, you know, their facility isn't worth what it was in those years when rates were 3% in this new rate environment. So I think we've got a great buying window. So we are ramping up acquisitions. We're trying to acquire more. We have a buy and hold strategy. I've only sold one facility. Everything else we've kept and want to continue to keep. So we're looking for those assets that we can purchase, do cost segregation study on it, help us limit our taxes, offset some of my fireman income. With my wife being a stay-at-home mom, and she can be a real estate professional that way, so that helps. And yeah, that's it, man. I'm excited for 2026. I think we've got a little bit of an opportunity here.
Justin, have you looked into self-store or did you do self-storage investing before?
I have not done it. I don't know if I ever will. I have a mental hang up of I don't get the economics of it. Now, for the operators, yes, I get the economics, but the business model just doesn't seem viable to me, although it's been super successful. I know the last, what, 10, 20 years. Um, I haven't put a dollar in it, me directly or through syndications.
I found this interesting. You posted on X, Kevin's. I did put Kevin's X handle there. That's primarily where he's at. I didn't know you were on LinkedIn. I just followed you there, but I know you're mainly on X.
Yep.
But you posted on X, the best self-storage markets aren't just growing, they're moving. Renters, relocations, life transitions, movements fills units faster than population growth ever will. So what was that all about?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people just focus on population growth, and I zero in on that too when I'm looking at demographics. Like, there's a few key things I'm looking at, median income being one of them, to make sure that it's not a super low median income area where people can actually pay their storage bill every month, and I have the opportunity to increase rates. But the other one I'd focus in on is population growth, and I wouldn't want to buy in a declining market, because if I'm holding these things long term, why would I want to buy in a market that doesn't have growth projections, at least 1, 2, 3% in the next few years. But then what I realized is that I'm not looking at the full picture there. What the full picture really is how much movement is in that market. What's the percentage of renters? If it's 40, 50% plus, that's great for self-storage, because typically you're turning over renters. They're not staying in one place for a super long time, which means you're getting movement, which equates to self-storage rentals. If there's contract work, if there's rare earth metals, if there's a gold mine, if there's oil and gas, that brings people in and out of that space. They need self-storage. Um, if there's a university, if there's a military base, that brings movement. And so I started focusing more on what is the churn, what is the movement of the market around my facility, not just is that population growing. Um, and that's been a big focus for us, trying to focus on those markets and not missing kind of that key piece.
Justin, for yourself, I sounds like the cost seg is going to be big for you 2026. I think you also mentioned you are getting married too this year, right? So a lot of life event for both of you,
Yeah.
Kevin, baby. Is that so? How
Nice.
does that really play into the vision? So your fiance,
Uh-huh.
she's big? Is she have her own investments also, or?
We're like exactly the opposite. So I have zero 401k in terms of stocks. My 401k is a solo 401k, which is cash and real estate. And then she has a pension. I have no pension. And then I have real estate. She has no real estate. So we're together great in terms of what do you call that? The balancing. I'm drawing a blank on the name. But separately, she's heavy stocks. I'm heavy real estate. But to your point, yes, we are getting married 12/31, so basically uh, New Year's celebration, and this is the first year that we've actually talked about finances together. We've been together for a long time, but everything's been separate. So all the financials been separate. Now we do back to the basics. We have weekly meetings. Where are we spending the money? What are we spending it on? Because we're trying to pay for the wedding, which is going to be about 30,000 before the wedding. So we're already halfway down paying the wedding off. So we're trying to get all our finances in order so that when we're married, we want to have no credit card debt, i.e., bad debt. Only debt we want is related to the real estate. So that's our whole focus for the year, is to pay you know, as a team, work together, pay off my credit card debt, her credit card debt, so that when we're married, we have no credit card debt, and life is easy.
This is probably going to be a question that comes up because it usually comes up, when people are talking about their spouse or. So we'll let Justin go first, and then Kevin can answer too. Do you guys believe in like joint accounts, like joint banking accounts, or are you going to try to keep things separate?
For me, like we'll get a shared account. So I've been married before. This is my second one. When I was married before, we had a shared account as well. So I think I like the idea of a shared account. Everyone's working off of it, and then have like your two do whatever the hell you want with it, right? So like if she wants to do a trip with her friends wherever she can, if I want a guy's golf trip, I can do whatever I want. That's kind of your play money. But then all the stuff that's related to the couple, I like sharing that and monitoring it and building it together.
What about you, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, my wife stays home with our kids, so she definitely has a shared account. Um, but we had that even before when she was working before kids, and so I think it makes sense. All the household stuff comes out of there, all the kid stuff, all the groceries, utilities, like anything that would be deemed, both of us. And then if she wants to buy something, she buys something. If I want to buy something, I buy something. And then all the business accounts are separate, and they feed into one personal account that is just mine. And then I'll basically just do a transfer from the personal account to our joint account. But essentially, it's all joint. 3 kids later.
Before we get on to like the same thing about 2026, I do want to ask Justin. I know you had an event recently, so Flavio, who's in Grandview, Washington, is asking how was the event?
That's awesome, man. We had our third event. It's under the W2 to Freedom brand, and we focus on helping people build wealth through real estate, ultimately breaking free of the shackles from the W2 world and living a life by design. So we had our third event, and our first event was 3. The second event was 8. This time, I think we had 15 people. So we're slowly but steady building up, and then out of that, we're doing a recurring meeting. So my philosophy about W2 to Freedom is like 3 phases: earn it, live it, give it. So we're focused on the earn it phase, where it's the level 1 is just the basics. So we're goal setting, finding your why, doing an income statement for yourself, i.e., a budget, and then a balance sheet, i.e., net worth tracker. So we're all gonna, everyone who signs up for this, we're gonna have a follow up virtual meeting on the 29th, set everybody up on it, and then we're having a Facebook group, a WhatsApp chat, monthly meetings, so we can all, as a cohort, what did I call it? The 2026 W2 to Freedom Launchpad, to help people build up their foundation to ultimately get to financial freedom.
Hey, I do see Dion tuning in from your channel, Justin. He says every time you hit the like button, an angel gets its wings.
Awesome.
And yeah, Curtis says, yeah, the event was cool. Lots of cool people trying to break out. Yeah. So Kevin, like I said, Justin's brand is W2 to Freedom. He was with Amazon a while back. But for yourself, like I said, you are a firefighter also in the Bay Area. Do you feel that W2 is a kind of a tool or leverage to reaching financial freedom?
Well, I kind of did things backwards. I started in real estate prior to any W2, and I just got lucky. I started in 2009. That was turned out to be a great time to buy real estate, even though nobody was really doing it at the time. And so that was able to build me a little bit of wealth, to where then I could actually say, okay, what do I want to do? And I actually chose to become a fireman because I had that passion and I wanted to do something of giving back. Now, fast forward 10 years, I've been a fireman, also doing the real estate thing on the side now. Um, and I have young kids, and now I'm thinking, well, I think that was a great 10-year career, but now I might want to actually leave the fire service and go back to focusing on real estate full time. And so that way I can spend time with my family. So, um, I've gone through these little ebbs and flows of, where is my passion, and trying to direct myself towards that. But I think the only reason that I went for my passion of initially of being a fireman was because I felt financially secure and safe to do so. And so I think, if you just translate that out, it's, yes, I think having a W2 is super beneficial because it allows you that financial security and safety to then go explore a passion, go take a risk, and you have that fallback. I don't think everybody needs to quit their W-2 and become an entrepreneur. I don't think that's for everybody. I don't think it's the right decision for everybody. So I think having that safety net, and then once you decide that you're safe enough and you have that security and you can go take that next step and you do want to leave your W-2, especially if it's one you're not happy in, by all means, that gets accelerated. I think that's the way to go.
Or I'm in your ear every time telling you to leave the fire department already, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But Steven's here. He's just retired FDNY, so he just joined the One Rental at a Time school community. So he's here tuning in. But thanks, Steven. But yeah, let's get back to maybe 2026. When you look at 2026, what's the biggest shift investors need to make compared to like 2023 through 2025, Justin?
I think for me, and if people are like me, I'll give you my experience where the last couple of years have been super difficult, right? So obviously high interest rates, and I was trying some new things, some development stuff where I took a big L learning. So step one is building back reserves because one of my projects lost like 200,000, right? So it's one of those where now I got to build all that liquidity back up. And if you look at pre 2022, life was fairly easy. I would just go refinance a property, still sub 4%, pull out that equity, and I could fill the holes. I have to fill the holes with like active income, i.e., agent business right now. So biggest thing now is if you don't have reserves, building up those reserves and continue to analyze your specific buy box. So for me, like I still have a buy box that I'm looking for, single families with daddy potential. And so by building up that liquidity while you're focusing on your buy box, you'll be ready to pounce once your something comes into your buy box. So that's my main focus, specifically in Q1.
Kevin, before you answer, I kind of want maybe where would you put self storage? Because everyone when they talk about housing crash, doom, or even like syndications, right? The short term debt. Like, where does kind of self storage facilities kind of maybe fall into the real estate space?
Yeah. Self storage has a few different options for debt. You can do traditional financing through a bank. Depending on what rate you want, you're gonna pay a little more for long term. You're gonna pay a little less for short term. You can do seller financing. That was going to be one of my things for 2026. Is I think focusing on creative financing, seller finance being one of those. We've bought over half our deals with great seller financing with below market interest rates, and we can come up with win-wins that way. We can get super creative on terms, and we've done all kinds of fun stuff on the financing side. Self-storage, you can also get an SBA loan. So you can get a business loan because there is a business. It's not just real estate, it's a business. And if at the end of the day, if you don't run self-storage like a business and you treat it like just a real estate asset, you're going to fail. It's not passive. It is active income, despite what people might sell you or tell you. But those who run it like a business do very well. And so, to answer your first question, what's important going forward in 2026, I think it's relationships. I think are huge. I would say that for every year. I think your focus should always be on who can you connect with, who can you meet with, what owners can you talk to, what relationships can you build. Look at this long term, especially with owners. Like when we go direct to owner, I'm not trying to push a sale for them to sell me their facility the first time I call them. I just want to become their friend. I want to build a relationship with them. I want to provide value to them if I can. And hopefully one day when they want to sell, whether that's a month from now or 5 years from now, they think of me, and they think of me first because I've built that relationship. And so I think that's super important. I think discipline's super important. And Justin talked about it a little bit, but having your buy box and not trying to squeeze something in there that's just not a fit. Like know what you're good at, know, where your knowledge base is, and focus on deals that make sense. And, don't try and do a deal just for the sake of doing a deal. I think those are going to be super important aspects, especially this year.
On you were talking about seller financing, creative financing.
Yep.
But, as I was building up my portfolio, I did maybe 25-ish to 30% of it. And once you leave your W-2 world, you're not as bankable as you were before. Can you still get loans? Yes, like DSCR type loans, but your conventional, those are basically out the window until you have some other, consistent income. So for me, like now that I've been an agent, going into, I think it's my 4th year now, I have that income to where I can get conventional loans. But for the last couple of years, I've been 100% focused on creative financing deals. And I actually did one a couple of weeks ago where it's a lease option deal. So, and then back to your point of talking to sellers, for 2026, I'm going back to basics, talking to sellers. Where on the agent side, I have a cold caller, and we were focusing on direct to seller marketing and trying to, the cold caller gets the lead, and then we set the appointment. Well, we didn't close all those leads. I was sending them to the team, but we weren't closing any of them. So in terms of, that's my fault for not helping the team train them to get them to close. So for 26, I'm doing all the follow-up calls, all the appointments and everything. So the first week that I've taken it back over, met with a seller, has three duplexes, and I might list one, I might buy one, and then the future TBD on that, list it or buy it. So going in, helping the client and client or seller, depending on what, they're a client in terms of the agent business, and seller if I end up buying it. But I just go in there saying, here's what I can pay you for it. And if you're trying to get max cash now, that would be a cash price. But for this seller, they're basically retired. They want money, but no tax impact. So then I gave them a creative offer. So I gave them that offer. Then I said, if you want to try to get max price, we can put it on the market. Here's what I think it would sell for. If you put it on the market, you've got these fees that are involved. So it's like, do you want this cash price, on market price, or do you want this creative price? I'm indifferent on it. I'm not trying to sell them on anyone. Any option they choose, they win, I win, everybody's happy. So that's the focus that I'm targeting for 2026.
I'm not sure what happened to Kevin. Maybe he got an alarm or what. He is on duty right now. So Jeff, I know you're putting in some details from self-storage, I believe you're looking at. So hopefully Kevin can jump back on and we can bring those numbers up. But Jovi is asking, I think, believe for you, Justin, are these units in Wisconsin?
Everything lately that's creative is all 1 hour Seattle. So Puyallup was the ones I was specifically talking about. And the one that I got under contract basically January 1st is in Everett, which is like an hour north of Seattle. So what I'm trying to do is like, I was mentioning where I'm trying to build reserves, and you're probably like, well, how are you buying these things if you're trying to build reserves? Well, I have 2 buckets of money. There's me as the investor, my LLC stuff, and then I have a solo 401k that has money in it. That money is there until I retire, like government retire, right? So I'm using the money that's in the solo 401k to do these lease with the options to purchase. So that's why I have. It sounds weird. Yeah, I need to save up money to buy, but I'm buying over here. It's because I can't touch this money until 59 and a half. So I got like 13 more years until I can use any of this money. So it's just ebbing and flowing in this bucket.
Kevin's back. So
Back.
Jeff, who's in York, Pennsylvania, I'm assuming that's where the self-storage facility he's looking at. Do you have any relationship, that market or anything, Kevin?
I
But
don't. We've looked at deals in pretty much every state, but we don't own anything in kind of that northeast area.
he does say 46 units, 875K, about 60% occupancy is what he put in there. But he does have a question. He says, can self-storage losses offset income on your W-2? This is not tax advice, but do you know an answer for that?
Yes, it can if you are or your spouse is a real estate professional, deemed a real estate professional by the IR. And so there's a few things you have to do. You have to spend at least 50% of your time, over 50% of your time in that business in real estate. So if you have a W-2, you're basically not going to qualify, because if you're working 50 hours a week in your W-2, there's no way they're gonna believe that you're working 51 hours a week as well in real estate. So if it's not you, then it needs to be your spouse. She can qualify. You have to do 750 hours that you need to log in case you do have an audit of real estate related activities. And then you need to be materially involved in the business. And so, it helps to not have property managers, because then are you really materially involved would be the question the IRS would ask. So, but yeah, look up kind of the 3 or 4 things that you need to qualify. If you have a W-2 out, but your spouse can absolutely qualify if she does not have a W-2, and then you can use that passive loss to offset active income.
I'll touch on it a little bit from my side. So when I was, I had a W-2 job and at Amazon at the time, and my actual accountant said, why don't you file for real estate professional status? And I said same thing as you. I thought I couldn't do it. It's based on the rules I knew. And he's like, well, you actually spend a lot of time in there, easily over 750 hours. And the income coming in from the properties was greater than the gross income, I should say, was greater than the Amazon income. And they're like, yeah, we think you'll be fine. I'm like, okay, if I get audited, you guys are gonna, protect me and all that kind of stuff. And so, I would say the 2 years before I left Amazon, I was a real estate professional, which it was basically, I was over somewhere in the 100 to 125 units in 4 states. And then I had like 4 partnerships and like 6 property managers. So there's like a lot of stuff. And they were like, yeah, we don't think it's a problem. So, so that's one thing. I may be unique in that scenario. Talk with your professional. But now that actually on Monday we had this discussion. So separately speaking, obviously my fiance, she owns 0 real estate. She's not a real estate professional, but I am a real estate professional. So, she makes around 200,000 all in. So she's paying, I'm assuming, 25, 30%, right? So let's just say it's 25%. So that's like $50,000 of tax, right? So now if I go get, when I'm going to close on a property this year to where I can do this bonus depreciation. So let's just say it's $1 million property and I do bonus depreciations. Let's just say it's 250, 25% of the million. I could wipe out all of her income. She could get all that tax that's been withheld for the entire year, and we could have that money would come back to us, right? So what you can do with that real estate professional status, it is massive. So somehow, some way, if your wife is stay at home, if your husband stay at home, or your partner stay at home, somehow get them into that rep status could be massive for you.
Yeah. I think key too to remember though is this is a tax deferral strategy, not a tax mitigation strategy. Mm-hmm. So we've sold the property that we've done a cost segregation study on, and it sucks. You pay it all back. So you're not actually saving any money. The way you need to look at it is time value of money. I would rather have that chunk of money now than 5 years from now or 3 years from now when I sell. And so there's also a cost to doing the study, depending on the type of property. It can be, in the thousands of dollars. And so you just want to make sure if you're doing like a quick flip, like there's no reason to cost seg it, because you're just pay it all back 6-12 months later. So you want to do these on things that you kind of want to hold for at least a few years, and then know that, if you paid $200,000 for this house, the IRS is going to look at it when you sell it. If you were able to cost segregate maybe $50,000, they're going to look at it as if you only paid $150,000. So now you pay the difference on tax between the $150 and the sale price, as opposed to the $200 in the sale price. So the only way around that, not to get too in the weeds, is to 1031 it into another property, but it's just going to follow you. And then the only way to truly get rid of it is die without knowing, and leave it to somebody. They'll get a step up in basis, and all that stuff goes away. So
100%.
Not tax mitigation.
I would say it's hard for firefighters work a lot of hours, so it's hard to get rep status, right, Kev?
Yeah, My guess, if Justin got audited, it's probably not going to fly. But you can do anything until you get audited, and as long as you're not negligent with it and you have a valid reason, you can play in the gray area. You definitely don't want to do anything negligently because that's jail time. But if you don't get audited, you can do whatever you want. We've definitely played in the gray area and just hope we didn't get audited in the last 3 years, and it make it work. But just don't do anything negligent.
I've been audited 3 times already.
What?
Magically, the 3 years I lived in California, the California Franchise Tax Board audited me 3 years in a row. So if you that one, I was using the when you go to get your master's degree, you can write off your master's degree if you follow if you have a specific use case. So I'll use this example so that if you are going to play in the gray, know what the rules are and then operate to that, right? So literally there is a 1-page diagram in the tax code that it's a yes, no. And if you have this decision tree, the yes and the no, and I literally took it, highlighted to where I would say, yes, I could write my education off. And it was true that I was doing what was on there. But so then every year I'd get audited, I would take this 1 page that has this yellow highlighter and send it in. 60 days later, it says no further questions. And I was able to write off, I don't know, it was like 125,000 or something for the MBA at Berkeley. So you can't, if you look up the law or the tax code, understand it and operate exactly to what it says, you should be fine.
Yeah, we'll leave out the government failing, and they should be auditing themselves before auditing everyone else. But we'll leave that for another discussion. But I think Lynn's taking a jab at me. She said you have to be married first for that, to offset his loss of income. Yeah, I'm not sure. Josh is asking, would having a real estate centric YouTube channel count towards? I'm not sure.
That'd be a question for CPA. There's so many things
Yeah.
like, real estate. If you take a real estate class, that counts. If you do marketing for your property, if you have an Airbnb, that counts. So, you wouldn't be able to claim, hey, here's my 750 hours from YouTube. I don't think. I think you'd need more material participation in assets, but you might be able to get away with that being some of your hours.
Yeah.
You're better off using the short-term rental loophole than trying to do a rep status if you're a high income earner, where it's like you have to do, I think it's 100 hours material. You're doing most of the work. You have to have like an average stay below, I think it's a week
7, like average stay below 7. Yeah. And then,
So you basically, if you roughly, if you close on it by October 1st, you'd have enough time to get your hours and furnish it, get a couple bookings showing that your average time is below the 1 week. So
I think Jeff was asking that question because Kevin, he said you mentioned it as a business. I believe he was saying.
Are we talking about, if we're talking about self-storage? Maybe I don't know. Maybe a little clarification on the question, just so I make sure I answer it the right way.
Yeah, I think that's why he was asking about if it could offset your W-2 or something. I think that's why he was asking if can self-storage losses offset your income.
As a real estate professional, can it offset your W-2? Because it's still considered passive income by the IRS. So passive income can offset passive losses regardless of real estate professional status. Passive income can only offset active income if you or your spouse is a real estate professional.
I'm not sure what you use, Kevin, but Jeff was saying he paid $3,800 for cost seg on our 10 unit. And I guess Justin's saying there's automated options that are cheaper. And for you, Kev, do you know roughly how much you spend on cost segs? Or
a lot of it depends on the complexity. Like a self-storage facility is very simple. We've probably spent more than that on climate control facilities, because now you're talking about HVAC and maybe flooring and lights and everything else, plumbing. There's bathrooms in there. But as far as drive-up facilities, it's super simple. I think that's probably around what we would pay for a facility, depending on the size and the complexity of it. We've used a few. I like MVO cost seg. They've been great for us. But there's some good companies out there, and they're all doing the same thing. Some are more aggressive than others. They'll give you an estimate of what it'll come out to be before you have to pay any money. So you can go to 3 of them, get estimates, and maybe if you want to be more aggressive, you take the one that's more aggressive. If you're middle ground, you take that one. But I think that's what he mentioned is probably a reasonable cost for a cost segregation study.
Yeah, definitely it's preference because I've heard Zuber speak on it, Lumberjack speak on it, and they kind of have different takes. So I believe Lumberjack uses more of those automated the DIY seg. I think that's who Main Bean Counters also recommends. But Zuber, I believe he uses what's his name? Koseg, I forget. He's been on the channel a few times. Charles Weiner, I believe. But it's a little more thorough. Like I think they actually send out an engineer to the facility. So yeah, it's just kind of what you feel more comfortable with,
That's the big,
definitely.
if they can do it remotely or if they need to send out somebody. Like our
Yeah.
climate control facilities, they had to send somebody out. We're going to pay a little more for that, but it's going to be more accurate and hold up more if there's ever an issue. But if they can just do it remotely, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
The one that I looked at both, having a person come out, gosh, I want to say it was close to like 5,000. And then, so then I was like, man, there's got to be a cheaper option. So, and I want to say, and don't quote me on the one that I was looking at, if your house is below 800,000, you can run it through their, basically software. And I want to say it was like 700-ish, 750, something like that. So, and it's going to give you a close enough.
And I think for like an extra amount, you can pay for like audit protection or something, right? For a few hundred dollars, yeah. But like I said, going back to maybe 2026, Kevin, you kind of touched on it. Passive. I said I don't get too many self storage on here too often, and I think a lot of people jumped into real estate in general, with low interest rates, and a lot of people are exiting now because it's not as passive as they thought. And I also sent you that recent video. I don't know if you got to see it, but Chandler David Smith was talking about his self storage, and he was just like, there was like cars parked everywhere, right? People leaving cars. But so is self storage that passive, I guess, or is it passive compared to just
nothing? No real estate's passive. The only thing passive is putting it in an index fund or the S&P 500. Other than that, anything in real estate, if someone tells you it's passive, they're lying to you. Self-storage is very much a business, and if you don't operate like a business, you're really not going to do well. Now, we've created a playbook from owning these facilities to where we can make it the most possible passive investment we can, but it still doesn't mean it's truly passive. And so, we've put key players in place. We have a call center that answers phone calls for us. We have a boots on the ground at each location that visits the facility once a week, because these are all outside of California where I live. And he does tasks for us. I have an operations manager that handles collections, managing the call center, managing the boots on the ground, outside vendors, things like that. And so I've eliminated 90% of the stuff that would just be me, but I still deal with the 10% that those people either don't know how to deal with or don't have the authorization to deal with. Maybe it's something to do with finances or something like that. And then it comes to me. So we try to eliminate a lot of the stuff by way of putting people in the right places and operating it smoothly. But it's still a business, and you need to treat it like that. Much more so than when we owned multifamily or single family. You put those on a year lease, you don't even need to do anything. You fix the things that are broken. Storage is all month to month. You're competing against other self-storage facilities in the area. You need to know when to raise rates, when to offer deep promos, things like that. So it's a different game.
So Justin, 2026, do you think it rewards patience or aggression?
Right now, I think it's going to be patience because until these rates drop, I don't think there's. You'd have to do a lot more of the creative financing stuff to be aggressive, in my opinion. Or a lot more partnerships, and I'm shrinking and trying to avoid partnerships. You know, I like debt partners that are in and out for a deal. Um, what I've learned over time is like partners, they can be good and they can help you grow. But if you're not all aligned and the resources as well, then it can become cumbersome and distracting. So um, definitely, I think on the more conservative side for this year, like I said at the beginning, right now be stacking your cash, analyzing deals so that when it does come, you're able to pounce. And for the other thing for me is like, let's just say magically this new Fed chair comes in and that person does lower the interest rate, and there is no bond vigilante, issue there. Let's just say it does come in where we can start refining at 5%. I would probably get pretty aggressive at that point because the I haven't really let's see, most of the stuff I refinanced in 21, right? Since then it's gone up 50 to 100%. So like the amount of cash out refis that I could do and then pull in a bunch of money and then start going on a buying spree, I could flip the switch at that time. But until that happens, stay the course, steady Eddie, stack the cash, manage the buy box, only hit something that hits your targets.
See, California's so bad. Kevin can't even get internet to stay on this call. But I want to touch on. I don't know if you've heard Dion talk about it recently. I think it's I don't know how serious he's been thinking about it. Right. All this talk about wealth tax in California and even some of the policies coming down in your areas. Right. So he was kind of like, man, I'm almost thinking about selling everything and relocating kind of thing, right? Has that been on the thought, seeing the stuff coming in your area, I guess, policy wise?
I mean, more and more that it happens. I mean, specifically in our area, so in the greater Seattle area, the recent in stuff is the shifting to the tenant favorability is getting, in my opinion, ridiculous. So it is more and more frustrating. Now, there's pros and cons to it. I believe Dion's original thought process was that, it helps increase the rents because of these things. But then at some point in time, it doesn't make sense to stay in the game. Now he's further outside of the two counties that have more stringent stuff. Um, I think once that we have the income to retire Cindy, we could be mobile, whether that's in Washington, just over in Eastern, because I'm in Yakima now, Eastern Washington. Maybe it's just Eastern Washington. It's kind of like a red in a blue state, Eastern Washington. And if that doesn't work, then I wouldn't mind going to some of these other states that have no state income tax. I'm thinking of Florida as well. So I would be open to that. Probably not for another 5 or 6 years for me. But then I'm like, man, if we do go there, why not? Maybe go international, because like I'm sure the cost of living where Dion's right now is like, for 2-3 thousand a month, he's living like a king.
I see Dion it says sell it all, open a capybara farm.
Are those
uh,
good for
Sorry,
eating,
sorry,
or
keep dropping.
what are those capybara for? Or pets?
what was that what he was across from him? Was that what he was saying before in when he was in California? That there was some kind of farm across where he lived, like when he was doing like a Google search. I forget what the story was, but I know there was something he didn't realize was a attraction that was across from where he used to live.
Mm.
But Jeff is asking Kevin. It says, "What is normal occupancy for well-operated storage facility?"
That's a great question. That was very different in 2021, 2022. People were underwriting at 95% occupancy. Historically, it's going to be around 85%. So if we're at 85%, we're doing well. If we're above that, we're doing even better. And so that's our goal. That's where we underwrite. Now, if it's in a super high demand market with real low supply, I may get a little more aggressive on my underwriting and underwrite at 87, 88%. But you'll see a lot of people underwriting occupancy 90% plus, and if they don't hit it, they're in hot water with their debt service. So 85%, that's my number.
Nice. Josh Burdick is saying, I'm investing outside of Washington. Even Eastern Washington gets drug into the leftist policies.
Yeah, come to California.
That's what we were just saying. I said you don't even have the capability of getting Wi-Fi to stay on this call properly.
No, I'm on my cell phone, so whenever I get a call, it drops me. That's what happened. But,
I did want to bring up, because I don't know if he's still here, Joe V, who used to be a police officer, and Dion was actually law enforcement too. But on your X page, you did post, police department calls me asking if I'll authorize a drug dog sniff on one of my customers' units they believe to be storing drugs.
yeah.
Sure, but if he alerts, do not break the door, cut the lock. 1 hour later, I get this photo, and it says we couldn't cut the lock. It was too difficult. And basically shows your door broken in and all kind of. So what happened with that? Was there drugs?
I'm guessing they brought the wrong tool for the right job, man. So they busted that door. They're buying me a new door, but it's a pain. No, I don't think they found any drugs. I mean, obviously the dog alerted, but they can alert those dogs if they want them to alert. That's just their, they say that. But I don't want drugs on the property either. So I'm gonna, I'm all for law enforcement and checking that out. That's the last thing I want. So I was like, yeah, sure. Turned out, I think it was a giant misunderstanding. It was a whole thing, but no drugs were found, and now I've got a broken door. So we moved her into another unit, and we're waiting for the door to get fixed. We'll send the bill to the police department.
But yeah, absolutely, it is not that passive, right? Like people may think, self-storage, you're just holding people's items, I guess. But even like you said, you posted this picture, says a new customer took drive-up storage a bit too literally. It basically has a vehicle in one of your
with the bed of the truck sticking out, like it doesn't fit in. He tried to store his vehicle, so he just put the door halfway down and rested on the bed of the truck with it sticking out. Just Brilliant. Silly stuff. But that's fun. It keeps it fun. It keeps it exciting. Your ability to solve those problems, really depends on how well you're going to do as an operator and how quickly you can solve them. I will say though, we've got a little training thing we got to get to.
All right.
But I'm happy to answer questions from anybody. I actually coach new investors on how to invest in self-storage. I do some one-on-one coaching. But regardless of that, happy just to chat and talk about self-storage. If I can be a resource on the lending side, we have a hard money fund that we lend to both self-storage operators and like kind of fix and flip and basically bridge loans for people to be able to acquire with cash, usually at a discount, and then refinance us out, 6, 12, 18 months later. So if anyone wants to know about lending, or if that's an opportunity for them and their business, happy to chat. You can share my info with everybody, Mark.
Yep, there's his X account, or hit me up. I'll get you connected with him. And just say you guys are going grocery shopping. Don't say you have a training to do. Just say you guys are gonna go buy food right now.
We're gonna train on our way to get food.
See, I knew it.
You're so smart, Mark.
All right, man. Thanks for jumping on, man.
Justin, nice to meet you, man.
Likewise. See you.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to connect with Kevin, there is his X handle. He's also on LinkedIn, but he's primarily on X. Or if you got my information, just message me and I'll connect you with him. But yeah, if you had to give a W-2 earner one rule for 2026, Justin, what would it be?
It's back to the basics. I say treat yourself like a business. So you need an income statement and you need a balance sheet. So the income statement is a budget, right? What your money is coming in and your expenses going out. And then your balance sheet, i.e. your net worth, is your assets and your liabilities. And the difference between the two is your net worth. So many people, and this is as I was in the W-2 world, they're making crazy money. I mean, a friend of mine said how much he made the other day, and I was like, oh my God, $750,000 a year. I'm like, holy smokes. So, but if you're spending $750,000 a year, somebody at McDonald's could be saving more than you, right? So it comes down to understanding your financial position And then, as Zuber wrote in a post the other day, is building up that passive income to hit your expenses. So, if you have, let's just say the key to figure out what your expenses are is to do your income statement, right? So not just that how much you're making, but then what are your expenses? So if your expenses say it's 5,000, you have to build up your passive income to that $5,000 level so that you could retire. Doesn't mean you'll always be there. Like for me, like I love doing this stuff. So like I always want to continue to build and grow and see how big I can get it. But level one, treat yourself like a business, income statement, balance sheet, and then once you know where you're at, you can plan your path to where you want to go.
Harrison, Trade Better 99, tuning in from Virginia, says good afternoon. Says Justin, what would be the final straw to sell all properties in Washington?
I mean, gosh, sometimes it feels close. Like I just this
But
just for
did you grow up there? No, right?
yeah.
Or you did.
I'm
Okay.
from it's called Auburn's the city, so it's probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes outside of Seattle. So born and raised there, most of my life been there. Some of the things that they have there, obviously the rent control. Then if you the other one is if certain cities, if you can't evict a parent with a kid during the school year. That's another thing. And then if you go above between, I think it's 5% and 10% is the max rent. So I think if you go above 5% and they don't renew, I think you have to pay them or help them find another apartment. I'm like, that specific city's Tacoma. I mean, it's like if they start doing basically if you do one more thing, it's like why even buy there, right? So which ultimately what ends up happening, I think, the shifts more rentals into single family housing, such that there is less rentals. Less rentals increases the price, or those people who are renting have to move out to another city in a nearby area. So, I mean, Tacoma it won't take too much more for Tacoma. Yeah, the other thing is now we have to have business licenses. It's like a couple $100 a year. It's like, you basically, the other thing is that there's no cap on taxes, right? So insurances and taxes lately have been going up quite a bit. So my property taxes aren't capped to 10%, and the insurance is not capped at 10%. So in theory, if taxes and insurance are growing at a faster rate than your rents, your trajectory is bankruptcy in the long run, because you're just going to be bled out over time.
Yes, it's funny you bring that up, insurance, taxes, things like that. I know Zuber and Anna Kelly were just talking about that, I think, on their recent video too. They're talking about GDP on paper looking great, but if you really look into the numbers, a lot of it is coming from the insurance and tax standpoint, right? So it's affecting a lot of people because that's cost that they can't really control and that they need, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Jim is saying, I like Justin's talk with Cody the other day about his parking spaces. Quickly, though, I do want to also remind everyone Jim has also finally started putting content on his new YouTube channel. So go jump over there, subscribe after this, and follow him. But Justin, I know a lot of people know about the parking spaces, but maybe you can touch on that briefly for people that may not be familiar with that.
Is Jim the grumpy contractor REI?
Yes, he is.
Okay, I'll have to go follow him.
Yeah.
Ironically, I didn't even plan this, but the shirt here is from the company that most of my parking is booked through. So it's called Neighbor. I'm not getting paid for this, but I'm one of their. I just post a lot about the parking, and so they've been giving me swag to wear. So I get these like free shirts and stuff.
All right, we'll show it again now that I spin the mirror. So now you can screen and then
so if you
present it
just
to
go to
them.
Neighbor,
Yeah.
drop in my Neighbor referral link. Or if you hit me up, I can send you a referral link. You get paid, I get paid when you get a booking. But on this parking lot, I mean, it's down right now. I'm probably in the 2,500 a month area, but at the peak it was like almost 3,500 a month, and that's if I fill the entire parking lot out. the average price, like the peak pricing is probably around 150. Like right now, since it's not as full, the last I just did one at 125, and then out of that, just like Airbnb, they take a percentage. I want to say it's like around 3%. So I use Neighbor. There's another one that's called Pure Storage as well. So, and there might be other ones in your area too. It's the easiest money you can make. You literally put like a posting. So I literally, I have a drone, so I took some aerial shots, and then I just posted those on there, wrote a description about the location, and the cool thing about these programs is it's just like Airbnb and VRBO. They do all the marketing for you. So, they're spending money on, I'm assuming, Facebook and Instagram and Google and all that stuff, and helps drive the traffic to book my listing on the site, and then I get paid. And a lot of these people, I've got people that have been there for over 2 years, and which has been great. And um, you know, those two in particular, they were towed to my lot, and so I'm like, those are the best customers, right? If they tow it to the lot, I know that they're not going to be moving, right? And historically, I never even talked to them. I never even wanted to increase the rent, but I just noticed that Neighbor has a new policy where they increase the rents every year now. And I'm like, perfect. Now I don't
Oh,
even need to talk to these
yeah.
people. It just increases the rent on them without me having to do anything. So, I mean, one of these cars that's towed there is literally, uh, FUBARD, right? It's like, I don't even know. I mean, to fix it up would be like, I don't know, 20,000. It's worth more metal, right? It's probably worth 500 metal. This guy is paying me 120 something a month, right? So think about that. Like, he's spending me 2x his car value per year to store it on my lot. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. But back to Brian's point, he's into self storage. Like, effectively, I'm in self storage for this guy, and he keeps his. I don't get why he's doing it. It makes no sense financially, but he's doing it, and I'm thankful for it.
Hyder wants to just let everyone know that if they are in school, Jim, Oscar, and himself are starting a new accountability call in school. It'll be focused on construction and question and answers. And um, I think people didn't hear that you kind of fell into this parking situation. But Harrison is asking, what are the items you look for in parking spaces? Is it just population density?
When I bought it, I wasn't. It was a house hack. I wasn't planning on parking. I was just like, oh, I can build something there in the future. And it was actually a painter that was painting my lower unit on a uniturn. And he's like, man, you got all this parking here. You should put like some tiny homes, a mobile home, or park something back here. And that kind of got me thinking about it. And then a friend of mine was using Neighbor, and he told me about Neighbor. And then I was like, man, I'm gonna have to check this out. So, but knowing what I know now, if you are next to a a high traffic area, so like if you're in Seattle, any one of your major cities, they're gonna need parking, right? For me, I'm specifically by an airport. So on when Cody and I had our live yesterday, I was explaining the mathematics based on the airport parking, roughly $15. Not at the airport, off airport. On airports, like $30 a day, right? So the economics, like if you're going to park at the airport, second day and beyond, it's cheaper to park at my place. If you are parking offsite 5 days or more, it's cheaper to park at my place because average daily cost at my place is only $5, but you have to have an Uber to and from. So at 5 days off site, it's a no brainer to be parking at my lot. So most of the people who go to the airport, they're doing some sort of international trip. It's usually 10 days to a month kind of thing, and they park it there and they're in and out.
All right, just want to remind everyone, Justin's YouTube channel, Instagram page, go follow him there, subscribe there. He's going to be, looks like, doing a weekly live stream with Cody Davis on Wednesdays. What time is that again? You guys probably going to go at?
We're at 8 to 8:30. So we're going to try to do it. I'm on a cruise next week. So it's going to be my first time trying to do a live stream from the cruise. We pay for the premium internet on the cruise. So we'll see if it works.
All right. Everyone, I think this was a good session. Anything else you want to say, Justin, before we wrap things up?
No, I mean, I the biggest thing is it's January, what is today? The 15th, I think.
Oh, last day for Vegas ticket sales. So those of you, if you haven't purchased yet, if you're not in school and you don't follow Zuber on LinkedIn, he did write about Phoebe or F.I.B.I. It's fuck it, book it. So basically, if you have not got your Vegas tickets yet, you definitely should just get it and be there, and it's going to be a great time, right? But sorry, man, what were you going to say?
So Joe's asking where the cruise at. We're going to San Diego and then going to Western Mexico. But what I was going to say is, for a lot of people, they've already their New Year's resolutions or their goals, or whatever, they've kind of fallen off. What I'd say is make sure that you stay focused for the year, because massive effort over 1 or 2 weeks is not going to get you to where you want to go. Massive effort on a daily basis. And I'm a firm believer of all great things come from the power of the increment. That just means doing 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. So for me, like my thing right now is like, I'm trying to learn Spanish. So, whether that's, last night I'm at my brother's place. I usually do when I'm on the Peloton, I do the Babbel. So I only did 5 minutes last night, but normally I'm doing like 20 to 30 minutes when I'm on the Peloton. But I'm still doing these small incremental pieces every day to build. So my one thing to you guys, figure that one thing that your big goal for the year, and then just do, little steps every day so you can get to that goal.
I say to stay consistent, you show up to the lives and you hit the like button, and that'll be your routine for the day. But yeah, I think you made Flavio excited when you said you're learning Spanish, so he'll be excited about that. But before we wrap things up, when's the next event then? You are going on a trip, you said, or cruise, but when's your next event you're putting together?
For the people that were at the last one, that we're doing the W2 to Freedom Launchpad, which is a recurring meeting for the year. We're doing the goal setting and the income statement, the balance sheet set up on, I think it's January the 29th. I think it's 5 to 6. Reach out to me if you weren't able to make it and want to do that. I'll send you the link for that. The next meetup is February the 9th, 6 to 8 p.m. TBD on location yet. We've been in Bellevue. Probably try to switch it around, maybe Seattle this next one. But I planned out the entire year. Looks like every month for the entire year of 2026. It's the second Monday of the month. So if you can't make it in February, just think the second Monday of the month, we'll be doing a meetup in Seattle. And when I say Seattle, that could be Everett, it could be Tacoma, Bellevue. So in and around Seattle area is the plan.
Very cool. And Jovi actually might be reading my mind. This is what I was going to bring up, because I do believe Flavio also asked you this question maybe on one of your posts. But will you be live streaming these, or will there be Zoom links for any of these events?
The go forward is doing the live stream as well. I do like the personal connection. Obviously, I get to connect with people, but when I was building my portfolio, it was me connecting with the other investors that were in the room, same level as me, and then above me to help coast off of them. And then over time was like talking to new people and then helping them rise up. So yes, these new locations that we go to, if they have good Wi-Fi and a camera setup, I'd love to do a live stream for that, or a Zoom setup for it.
Very cool. And sounds like, oh yeah, that's right. Hyder is heading out to Gary for a meet and greet, I believe, with Millennial Mike. Well, actually not Gary. They want to keep it safe, so it's just outside Gary, I believe. They posted in the school community. But yeah, man, thanks for doing this. Like I said, we'll try to do this. We'll figure out, maybe try to do it on Thursdays if possible. Get on a regular schedule. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Go check out Justin's channel. Subscribe. Jim Grumpy Contractor's new channel, and I will see everyone tomorrow, 7:45 a.m. Pacific, with Emily Lopez and Derek Vickers. Mobile home park investor will be on tomorrow. So awesome. Thanks everyone. See you guys tomorrow.